Sadly, summer is coming to an end. The leaves are beginning to change, kids are going back to school, PAX is just around the corner, and Microsoft has just finished its second tour of duty with the Summer of Arcade series. This year's Summer of Arcade series offered 5 games with a little bit of something for everyone. However, how many of these games were worth your hard-earned money? Hello everyone, I am Chris Phillips, back again for more video reviews. Today, we're taking a look at all 5 releases in the Summer of Arcade series on the Xbox 360. First game out of the gates is Splosion Man from Twisted Pixel Games for 800 Microsoft points. This is a very simple 2D platforming game where you have literally one option: to splode. Generally, you use sploding as the game's jumping mechanic. However, on occasions you can use it offensively against small enemies and defensively to deflect incoming attacks. But other than that, the game is a pretty basic platformer, offering a little bit of variety in the different challenges you'll face. These challenges will get very difficult very quickly. However, the game does offer a very good checkpoint system. The single-player campaign lasts about 50 levels, so it'll take you about 5 hours to beat, and there is a multiplayer co-op component. However, other than that, there's very little left to keep you coming back to Splosion Man. But at 800 Microsoft points, the price tag may be a little steep for the lack of Splosion Man's content. Next up is Marvel vs. Capcom 2, originally developed by Capcom for the Sega Dreamcast. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is a fighting game that pits all the greatest characters from the Marvel and Capcom universes together in one great fighting game. This is a very faithful port of the Dreamcast version of the game, so much to the fact that all the original glitches that were in the Dreamcast version of the game are still in this version. However, 16:9 HD support has been added, as well as online multiplayer support. The online mode runs smoothly, pretty much identically to Street Fighter II Hyper Fighting's online, and the widescreen support does not alter the gameplay in any way. However, with that being said, some of the art does get cut off in the 4x3 box, expanding from the 16:9 box, but these are little graphical glitches that you can overlook. If you've never played Marvel vs. Capcom, you're in for a treat, because the fighting in this game is easily some of the best 2D fighting out there. The 3-on-3 format makes it accessible for newcomers. However, the veterans that have already sank over 8 years into this game will not be disappointed as well. Overall, at the price tag of 1200 Microsoft points, this is a great game. It's probably going to end up taking you for a ride. Next up is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Turtles in Time Reshelled. Developed by Ubisoft Singapore, this is a remake of the 1991 arcade classic. This game is easily the worst of the Summer of Arcade titles. The gameplay has been completely remade from that arcade classic, and it doesn't even really feel like the same game anymore. It's also got a brand new graphical style that doesn't really do anything for me. In fact, I prefer the graphical stylings of the original Turtles in Time in the arcade. You can play the game with 1 to 4 players locally or via Xbox Live. As a co-op title, this is a very weak game as it requires very little teamwork. And you can probably combine that with the fact that at least 1 of the 4 players are going to be upset that they're not the turtle that they like. For 800 Microsoft points, this isn't a game I would recommend to anyone, especially fans of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Turtles in Time. It just simply isn't the same game. Next up is Trials HD, developed by Red Lynx for 1200 Microsoft points. Trials HD is a simple time trials racing game that has you navigating increasingly difficult courses on a motorcycle. The catch to this game is all the tracks take place on a 2D plane, allowing you to only control via brake, gas, and leaning your rider back and forth. The concept of this game is pretty simple: get to the finish line as quickly as you can without crashing. But the main draw of Trials HD is competing with all your friends on your friends list. Throughout the game, you'll see how your friends did on this same course, and you'll have the opportunity to race against them in a leaderboard challenge. This aspect of the game makes it completely addicting as you try to one-up the friends on your friends list. I can't tell you the number of times I've redone a race a number of times just to try and beat Hendrix's score on something. Aside from the standard races, there are also challenge events that have you doing various things like carting around some bombs, ski jumping, riding on top of a ball, riding inside a ball, and so on. On top of all this is also a level editing feature that allows you to create your own levels. At the end of the day, for 1200 points, Trials HD is probably one of the best games you can get on the Xbox Live Arcade. The self-challenge of constantly trying to one-up your friends and the fact that you can create your own levels gives the game endless legs. The final game is Shadow Complex, a 1200-point game developed by Chair Entertainment and Epic Games. This game is easily one of the most interesting games you can download on the marketplace, as it is a 2D game built in a 3D environment using the Unreal 3 engine. The gameplay in and among itself is very similar to what you would see in Super Metroids, all the way down to the game's map. The game focuses more on exploring the environment than fighting the enemies in the environment. With that being said, however, there are still a number of enemies in the environment that you have to take on, and you'll do so with a variety of different weapons. One of the integral parts of the exploration is actually your flashlight, as it will highlight areas of the environment you can destroy via certain weapons. This gameplay mechanic lends itself very well to the exploration factor of the game, in that you'll often backtrack once you receive a new weapon to see what areas of the environment you can unlock. There is a small story aspect to the game, however, it doesn't really play in that much to the driving factor of completing the game. The actual game itself is short, lending itself very well to repeat playthroughs. In fact, the game does offer a New Game Plus feature that allows you to keep your same level when starting a new game. The combat in and among itself is very interesting in that you can hit people in the 3D plane as well as the 2D plane. This works rather well and becomes pretty natural very quickly in the game. There are a number of boss battles in the game, however these boss battles are rather easy as it requires you to just spam the newest weapon you've got to defeat them. At the end of the day, if you're one of those people that don't mind playing a game over and over again to try and collect everything that game has to offer, Shadow Complex is going to be right up your alley. The gameplay is fun enough to lend itself well to multiple playthroughs, however it would be nice if a single playthrough would be enough to satisfy you with the direction of the narrative. For old school gamers that loved the old Super Metroids or Castlevania games, Shadow Complex is going to be right up your alley. However, if you're looking for deep narrative to drive you through Shadow Complex, you're probably going to be disappointed, and some people might be disappointed over the fact that there's a lot more exploration done in Shadow Complex than actual combat. But the game, in and among itself, is very fun, and is a recommended purchase at 1200 points. For more blogs, reviews, and podcasts, please log on to shfts.com.